Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome to the Īśopaniṣad class on a very interesting topic. So, before we start, we will recite Mangalacharan prayers. So, I will share my screen. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padkamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenbandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhano Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Okay. So now we will recite the invocation verse for Śrī Īśopaniṣad. Are you okay? Is the Īśopaniṣad screen visible on the?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, we will recite the two mantras. Om Purnamadaha
Om
Purnamidam
Purnamidam
Purnamudachyate
Purnamudachyate
Asya
Purnasya
Purnamadaya
Purnamadaya
Purnameva Vashishyate.
Purnamevavashishyate.
The personality of Godhead is perfect and complete.
The
Personality of Godhead is perfect and complete.
And because he is completely perfect,
Because he is
completely perfect,
all emanations from him, such as this phenomenal world,
all emanations from him,
such as this phenomenal word,
are perfectly equipped as complete wholes.
are perfectly
perfectly equipped as complete wholes.
Whatever is produced of the complete whole
Whatever is
Whatever is produced of the complete whole
is also complete in itself.
is also
is
complete
also complete in itself.
Because he is the complete whole,
because he is
the complete whole.
Even though so many complete units emanate from him,
even though so many complete units emanate from him,
He remains the complete balance.
He remains the
He
complete balance.
remains the complete balance.
Next verse, which is the foundation of Īśopaniṣad, it's known as the Īśāvāśya principle, the principle by which we must all live. And the central point of this principle is to keep Ishvara, and which is Krishna or Lord Vishnu, in the center of everything, not ourselves in the center. So that is the fundamental point of this verse, which is also the fundamental point of entire Krishna consciousness. Īśāvāśyam idam sarvam
Īśāvāśyam idam sarvam
yat kincha jagatyam jagat
yat
Yakincha jagatyam jagat
tena tyaktena bhunjitha
tena tyaktena bhunjitha
ma ghridah kasya svedhanam.
ma gratification.
dhanam.
Everything animate or inanimate
Everything animate or inanimate
that is within this universe
that is within this
That is
universe
within the universe
is controlled and owned by the Lord.
is controlled and
controlled
owned by the
and
Lord.
owned by the Lord.
One should therefore accept only those things
One should therefore
One should
accept
therefore
only those
accept
things
only those things
necessary for himself,
necessary for himself,
necessary for himself,
which are set aside as his quota,
which are set
which
aside
are set
as
aside
his quota.
as his quota.
and one should not accept other things,
And one should not
And
accept
one
other
should
things,
not accept other things,
knowing well to whom they belong.
knowing well to whom
knowing
they
well
belong.
to whom they belong.
Thank you. Thank you very much. You can mute all yourselves, of course, unless you want to ask a question, in which case, please feel free to ask the question, put it in the chat, or raise your hand. Anything, any of those methods is fine. So right now we are in verse numbers 12, 13, and 14. Yeah, well, verse numbers 12, 13, and 14. We started this discussion last week, and we will complete this discussion today. So it was 31st of December, so there was a lot of big gathering, a lot of devotees were there, and there was a lot of wonderful, nice Q&A. So we could not complete it last time. And plus I have added some more points today to sort of go deeper into this discussion. So a very quick refresher or a recap of what we are discussing. We are discussing the 3 verses of Śrī Īśopaniṣad Mantras 12, 13, and 14. And in these, I copied these verses and the translations in these 3 slides. We showed a contrast of 12 with 9, 13 with 10, and 14 with 11. But we won't go into that contrast. That was because we had just finished 9, 10, and 11. So that contrast made, was very front and center in our minds. But the main point in 12, 13, and 14 is being described as worship of the demigods and the worship of the impersonal Brahman. And both are not fully conducive to bhakti, to our devotion or devotional service or Krishna consciousness. So one point that is being made in verse number 12 is that, in essence, I think I have a summary slide. Let's go to that. Yeah, so just look at the right-hand side of this slide. Don't worry about 9, 10, and 11. We are way past that. So number 12, we are in 12, 13, 14, right? So in number 12, what is being said is that both are not conducive. I have kind of summarized it, bad and worse. So don't pick on those words, okay? These are just my words. And if they feel a little too strong, then it's my fault. But worship of the non-absolute is bad and we had discussed it in this verse, that asambhuti are referring to the demigods, and sambhuti is referring to the absolute truth. So in this verse, what is being mentioned is that worship of the demigods is bad. Worship of the impersonal absolute truth, impersonal understanding, sambhuti, is even worse. And we went into that discussion a little bit, or quite a bit, last time. Then the next two verses, 13 and 14, take on the meaning where sambhuti is referring to worship of Lord Krishna, and asambhuti is putting together, like in the previous verses, it was putting together the avidya and the so-called vidya together. Similarly, here we are putting together worship of Lord, or comparing the worship of Lord Vishnu or Krishna with the worship of demigods or the impersonal form. So what number 13 is saying, worship of the Supreme Lord leads to one result, and the worship of the demigods or the absolute truth leads to another result. And one should know, in number 14 it is mentioned, one should know both the Supreme Lord as well as the temporary demigods. One should have the knowledge of both. So we went into some of these discussions. We did a Bhagavad Gita shloka marathon to look at, since this is a very sensitive topic for many people, a very touchy topic about worship of Devis and Devatas. So we want to look at it directly from the eyes of the Shastra. We don't want to even slightly misrepresent the topic, because it is a sensitive topic. Devis and Devatas are very, very dear to many people. In fact, my parents were married in 1959, and I was born in 1974, so 15 years after marriage. And they were, not having a child for such a long time, and they worshipped Mother Durga. After many years of worship, I was born. So they have, and they put in me also a lot of faith in Mother Durga. And actually they were in Calcutta, where you can imagine the worship of Mother Kali is even more prominent. So they used to go to a temple of Goddess Kali. So, I myself have a lot of respect and faith for Mother Durga, Mother Kali, Lord Ganesha, Lord Shiva. But after understanding Bhagavad Gita, we get the topmost understanding, which is substantiated through many other scriptures. So we will see the branches. So so this is a very sensitive topic, close to many people's hearts, and we want to not misrepresent or misquote or add our own potential twists, or intended or unintended, to this topic. So we went through several verses. A majority of these verses are in chapter 7 and chapter 9. So we looked at some of these verses where Lord Krishna is talking about worship of other devatas, anya devata, and he says how if somebody's faith is invested in some other devatas, he lets them make progress. There is no problem. But he calls these people as in the next verse, alpamedhasa, of people of less intelligence. And he also says that the fruits that they get are antavat, which is temporary and limited. And also in 22, he says that whatever fruits they get out of worshipping the Devis and Devatas are ultimately being provided by him only. They are simply a proxy or they are simply basically taking it from the Lord and passing it on to us. So they are very faithful servants of the Lord. We also saw that in 9.24, that aham hi sarva yajnanam bhokta cha prabhureva cha, that whatever worship they receive, they also pass it on back to the Lord. So they are a very, very transparent medium. And however, in the verse number 23, Lord Krishna makes a very, very strong point, just like Alpa Medhasam, he makes a point that yajanti avidhi purvakam, that those who are worshipping the demigods are doing it avidhi, not in the proper way, their worship. So yajanti is an important word which we will focus on today. It means worship. Okay, so we will dissect this whole topic of demigod worship today. We discussed, this is where we stopped. What is the main problem? So we will not discuss impersonal worship today, or we will quickly discuss it because it's part of our discussion, but most of the discussion today is based on demigod worship. So what is the main problem with demigod worship? We discussed. One is, we skipped over some of those verses in Bhagavad Gita. I'll just quickly show them. 9.20, 21, and 20 and 21 basically, that it keeps us bound to the cycle of birth and death. In 9.20, Lord Krishna says that those who have done a lot of pious activities, they go to Indraloka or Swarga, which is not known as Surendra Lokam. But after their pious credits are exhausted, Kshine Punye, then they come back here, Martya Lokam Vishanti. So this cycle keeps going on. And so the main point is, it keeps us bound in the cycle of dharma, artha, and kama. And we also just understood that all this demigod worship, all the procedures are fruitive. So whatever prayers that exist, whatever procedures or rituals of demigod worship that are mentioned in the Vedas are directed towards fruitive results. The prayers, if you read the prayers carefully, you're asking for good health, good fortune, good family, good lot of wealth. All those kind of things are being asked. We will see a little later, the best thing to ask demigods, if at all you want to ask anything from the demigods, is to ask for Lord Krishna. But that is not part of the official prayers. That can be your own personal prayer to the demigods. But whatever is the official procedures and rituals, they are not directed towards that, towards asking for Krishna Bhakti. They are directed towards asking for Swa Bhakti, my own benefits, my own everything. I am the center, which is not the Ishavasya principle. And because one is into demigod worship, then obviously the full understanding that we just read from Bhagavad Gita does not exist. One is just trapped into the partial understanding, and the full understanding is still missing. We also discussed why demigod worship is better than impersonal worship. It was mentioned that demigod worship is bad, but impersonal worship, worship of the impersonal aspect of the absolute truth, which is Brahman, is even worse. Why is that the case? Even though the impersonal aspect is the absolute truth, whereas demigods are at a material level. So it should be ideally considered higher. But the point is, when we realize that there is something higher than the impersonal absolute truth, which is the personal absolute truth, Bhagavan, Shri Krishna as the personal absolute truth, in light of that, worshipping the demigods appears to be better. Because first of all, you are those who are worshipping the Devis and Devatas, the demigods, their worship is at least to a personal deity. a deity which has a form. The impersonal worshippers do not worship any deity form. They may do it as a stepping stone, beginner level, nursery or elementary school. But they will in fact tell you that as you go ahead, this will need to be discarded. They will give you that warning. So for now you can do, but this is not since you are a beginner, you are allowed to do worship of the personal form, but this is not the highest, that they are told from the beginning. But those who are worshipping the demigods, the Devis and Devatas, they have their full faith in the personal worship. That is an advantage. It can be a good way to dovetail or redirect that personal worship to Bhagavan Krishna. One personal to a higher personal. There is no impersonal concept that you have to undo, that you have to change. The second point is, at least when you are reading the prayers, many people read the prayers just like that without understanding, but at least those who are reading with understanding will realize all I'm asking for is material benefits. So at least that understanding is there. And they know that there is something beyond material benefits. You can get material benefits also from other places. If you are very friendly with your boss, maybe he will give you a faster promotion. He will, if you are nice to a politician, he will, or so many things you can do. So people know this is all, just, some way of manipulating someone. So it sounds very similar or familiar. So it prompts one to inquire or search for something higher. But in impersonal worship, you are being misled. And this is, we are going into the third point. They are being misled into believing that this is the highest path. It is a higher path, of course, than demigod worship. That is true. But the understanding that there is still something higher does not exist. So one thinks that this is the highest and I don't need anything more. And they are being deprived of the highest understanding, and they are being even deprived of a future possibility of something higher. Because you are aiming for something non-material. The worship of the impersonal absolute truth is nothing like anybody is familiar with any material circumstances. You worship a politician or your boss or something, and you're worshiping the impersonal absolute truth is very different. And you feel, yes, this is the highest. This is wonderful. And I am done. I'm on the right path. And they are not even aware that there is something higher. So that is the problem. So we discussed all this, or in some shape or form. I just wanted to quickly revise or review and set the baseline for today's discussion. Okay. So this is, I think, the slide that we did not enter into last time. So now verse number 13 is talking about destination. Mantra 13 says that it is said that one result, let me just show it so that everybody can see. It is said that one result is obtained by worshipping the supreme cause of all causes, and another result is obtained by worshipping what is not supreme. So we are talking about result or destination. Okay. So the topic of discussion is result or destination. So don't all paths lead to the same destination? That is the question. Worshipping demigods versus worshipping Lord Krishna. Okay. So the answer is no. We clearly saw from the verses of Bhagavad Gita, they do not. And I have in brackets mentioned, or at least indirectly not, or indirectly they may lead to the same destination. I will explain why. I have this concept of a train, direct train versus a change of train. So not directly. And we saw that those who worship the demigods, they get the material fruits. Antavattu phalam tesham, 7.23. I think 23 says antavat. The fruits are antavat. They have a ending, which means they are limited and temporary. So that is not the destination. Even in the 9th chapter, we saw the destination is Surendra Lokam or Indra Loka or Swarga. That is the destination. And Lord Krishna says, so many places in Bhagavad Gita, those who worship me attain the avyayam parampadam. Yesterday we were discussing. Yad gatva na nivartante tad dhamam paramam mama. Very clear. Na nivartante. Yad gatva, after going there, you do not come back. Exact opposite is there. Kshine punya martilokam vishanti. You come back. Come back versus not come back. 180-degree opposite destination, isn't it? Isn't it? Are you convinced? You come back in one case. Kshine punya martilokam vishanti versus yad gatva na nivartante. No coming back. So the destination is very different. So various types of bhakti, and when I use the word bhakti here, it means Krishna Bhakti versus Devata Bhakti. That leads to different destinations. Okay? So that is the point. Now, why I said indirect, even those who are doing Devata, demigod worship, at least they are going towards regulated sense gratification. That is the purpose. Otherwise, there is something lower than sense gratification obtained from Devata worship. What is something lower than that? Pop quiz.
Worship of asuras.
Yes, worship of asuras. And what would that be called? Or what is that English name, or the understanding of that is what?
Rakshas pravati.
Rakshas pravritti, but unregulated sense gratification, unlimited sense gratification, or
Devilish.
animalistic, devilish, animalistic propensity. Okay, animal doesn't, you show a bone to a dog, he will always want it. He won't say, okay, I have had enough for today. He won't try to regulate. So at least the demigod worship people are trying to make progress towards mode of goodness, or there is some sense of detachment or some sense of regulation in their life. So they are making that progress. But that train, if they are sitting in that train, will not go to Vaikuntha. It does not. It will stop somewhere. There will be a stop. Okay, last station. Then you will have to either get off and you can take the train back. Martya Lokam Vishanti. You can take a train back and you can always just, live your life on the train, like some people do. They live their life on the train. They take from A to B, then they change B to A. You'll always find them on the up train or down train. So that is a never ending cycle. Or you can get off and take the train to Vaikuntha. But that train is the train of Krishna Bhakti. So it is not a direct train. At least you'll have to get off. And then you have a choice what to do. So the point is, only Krishna Bhakti leads to, it's the non-stop train to Vaikuntha. So the point is, yes, you can do that. Okay, fine, I will get off at the station and I can do that. That can be one logic. Better logic is, why not sit in the direct train right away? And that is the point that Lord Krishna is making in Bhagavad Gita. This is why he calls it avidhi purvakam or alpa buddhayaha. At the same train, you are standing on the station. One side of the station, direct trains arrives. Another side of the station, indirect train arrives. Which one will you sit in? If you sit in the indirect one, people will call you, hey, why didn't you could have just sat in the direct train, express train. Not only direct, it is express. Fewer stops and all those elevator analogy, elevator versus staircase. Srila Prabhupada has discussed that analogy so many times. So all these trains do not lead to the same destination. And plus, the point is, why not take the direct train right away? So, okay, now before we go further into demigod worship, I just want to state what is the proper way. So we have said that demigod worship, or not we, Lord Krishna, I want to make it his statement. Who am I to make any statement? He's saying that it is not the best way. So what is the best way or the proper way for Krishna Bhakti? And Lord Krishna has stated at several places in the Bhagavad Gita itself, the best is ananya bhakti of Lord Shri Krishna. One very, very beautiful verse which talks about ananya bhakti is 9 point. There are so many verses, but just one verse that comes to mind is ananyas chintayanto mam. So I couldn't put all these verses in one slide, so to say. So I will just use the Veda base today. So 9:22, and it starts with the word ananya. Ananyas chintayanto mam ye jana paryupasate tesham nitya abhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham. Very, very, very important and sweet verse. And it starts with ananya bhakti. Ananya, ananya, no other. Only exclusive Krishna bhakti. No putting your legs in 2 boats or 3 boats. Put all your legs in 1 boat. So ananyas chintayanto mam. So translation is, those who always worship me with exclusive devotion, meditating on my transcendental form, to them I carry what they lack and I preserve what they have. So Krishna says, I take care of them. I take them under my wings. They are mine. I make them part of my family. So this is the benefit of ananya bhakti. And then the most important verse of Bhagavad Gita, which is 18.66, also has this concept of ananya bhakti, which is sarva dharman parityajya. So where is ananya here in this verse? Who can say? Exclusivity, where it is coming? Very nice. So here Mataji mentioned mam ekam. Mam is there, not the mam, but the ekam. Me and me alone. Mam ekam. Not me and someone else. 50% to me, 50% to somebody else. Not like that. Mam ekam sharanam vraja. Okay.
Prabhuji, you're not sharing that, Prabhuji.
How is it possible?
I think you're sharing only, not the whole desktop, only one particular.
Oh, it was saying here, I am sharing something. So now I have to keep switching between Chrome and PowerPoint, huh? Okay.
Or Prabhuji, you can share your whole desktop, then it will come whatever you're sharing.
Yeah, I can do that. Okay. Anyway, so Mam ekam sharanam vraja. And then what Lord Krishna says, same thing, not same, similar. Aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshishyami. I'll make you part of my family. Not exactly, but I will write off all your sinful reactions. So mam ekam, exclusive. So yeah, I will do that in just a second before I lose my chain of thought. My chain of thought is a little more shaky, so I'll preserve that one. So the proper way is ananya bhakti of Lord Shri Krishna, that we have seen from Bhagavad Gita, the most important verse of Bhagavad Gita. Lord Krishna himself says that one is the most important. Shrinu me paramam vachaha, he says. So this is the guhya tamam knowledge, the most confidential, he says, 9.63. And he says, Shrinu me paramam vachaha. So Lord Krishna is himself putting a big, what you call, in a, like a textbook you see in the red color or bold color, which means these are, if you didn't read the full book, at least you have to read the bold portions. So Lord Krishna is like that. He's himself putting it very strong emphasis on this. And also what it means, people are interested in to do. So Lord Krishna has described so many ways of to do. If you want just one to do, okay, only one to do if you want, then it is Nama Sankirtana. So in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Lord Krishna says at so many places that this is the Yuga Dharma, that just do Nama Sankirtana and you get the same benefit as doing meditation or worship or so many other things in other yugas. If you want 9, you're not satisfied with 1, you want more. 1 is like, okay, I can deal with more. So then Prahlad Maharaj gives 9 in the 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, out of which the first 2 Srila Prabhupada has said are most important, which are obviously Kirtanam is there and also Shravanam is there. Shravana and Kirtanam. So those are 2. Then if one is not satisfied with 9 also, and then there are others, Vishnu Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Sakhyam, Dasyam, Atmanivedanam, all those are there. If one is not satisfied with that, and I find this very meaningful to me at least, I want something between 1 and 5, 1 and 9. So what is the average of 1 and 9, my dear mathematicians? What is the average of 1 and 9?
5.
9 plus 1 divided by 2. I'm just making it up. So 5. So I like 5. So we will see 5, which is what we are getting to. So Srila Rupa Goswami, who is the chief of, he's the chief of staff for the, army, the chief general of all the acharyas. His writing is like a, is like a cast in stone. If he has written, then it is unchangeable. So he has given us 64 limbs of bhakti. And the last 5 he mentions in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu itself. This is NOD or BRS, I have summarized here. NOD we will study as part of Bhakti Shastri. BRS is the Sanskrit name, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So, nectar of devotion. Sindhu means an ocean of Bhakti Rasa. So, of the nectar of bhakti. So in that, the last 5 Srila Rupa Goswami mentions are the most important out of all the 64. And we will read that in just a second. It's given in the red color on the side. However, I want to mention that it all starts with number 1. The gates are opened to the remaining 63 with the first one. That is why it is mentioned first, which is Guru Pada Ashraya. So taking shelter of the pada, of the lotus feet of Guru. So we are all taking shelter of Srila Prabhupada, but one should make an aim to take direct shelter of a bona fide spiritual master. That is not optional. For a serious sadhak, it is mandatory. The gates are opened by taking that kind of shelter. Because the second one will talk. First one is taking shelter. So we have taken shelter of Srila Prabhupada's lotus feet. The second one will say, take Diksha. Now, we cannot take Diksha from Srila Prabhupada. That university has been closed. The university has to accept us. Like Nalanda University. Can you enroll in Nalanda University today? No. It was destroyed by some Muslim attackers. Today you can get admission in Banaras Hindu University or so many other universities. So you have to take admission. So you have to take shelter of a living bona fide guru. That is the second one. We won't go into that. So Srila Rupa Goswami is mentioning 5, the last 5, 60 to 64 as the most important. And these are repeated by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Very, very, very important verse. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila, chapter 22, verse number 128. which has been repeated here. The first two lines. Sadhu Sangha Nama Kirtana Bhagavat Shravana Mathura Vas Shri Murtira Shraddhaya Sevana. So these are the 5. 60, 61, 62, 63, 64. 5 are there. Are the most potent. So what are these? Sadhu Sangha, taking association of pure devotees. Second one is Nama Kirtana. So it's not inconsistent. Okay, Nama Kirtana is there. That was number 1. It was part of 9. So Nama Kirtana. Bhagavat Shravana. So when we say Shravana, Shravanam and Kirtanam, it is Bhagavat Shravan is the main reference. The Shravana and Kirtana can be of Nama, Guna, Rupa, Charita. These are the 4 branches of Kirtana and Shravana, and they are all encompassed in Bhagavat Shravana or Bhagavat Kirtana. Then the third one is Mathura Vas. And Mathura doesn't mean just Mathura and exclude Vrindavan. No. Mathura means the entire Vrajamandala. And also Jiva Goswami mentions that if you cannot reside in Mathura or Vrindavan or Vrajamandala, at least go there periodically. And remaining time, immerse yourself in activities that are performed in Vrindavan, wherever you are. So make your little location equivalent to Vrindavan by doing the other 4 processes. And as and when possible, visit the actual Vrajmandala. So that is Mathura Vas. And then Shri Murtira Shraddhaya Sevana, worshipping the deity of the Lord with a lot of faith and a lot of love and devotion, Shraddha. And what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, these are instructions of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which were given to Sanatana Goswami, which were passed on to Rupa Goswami, which he noted down in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So that is how it happened. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Sakala Sadhana Shrestha Ei Pancha Anga. Sakala Sadhana, among all the ways of sadhana bhakti, Shrestha, the best are. So I'm not saying, or nobody is saying that these 5 are the best. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying these 5 are the best. Shrestha Ei Pancha Anga. These are the 5 best. Krishna Prema Janmaya Ei. Krishna Prema arouses Janma. Ei Panchera Alpa Sangha. Little bit, even if you do nicely any of these 5, Krishna Prema will arise in your heart. So that is the importance of, so this is the proper way of doing Krishna Bhakti. So now you have 1, you have 5, you have 9, you have 64, and those 64 we will go into in the study of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, which is part of Bhakti Shastri, which is what this series we are doing, even though public classes. The homeworks, tests, all those are the private ones, but classes are all public. Okay, so that is the proper way. Now we'll change gears. So change of gear will happen now. And one point to complete sort of the Īśopaniṣad discussion, which is also related to our remaining part of the discussion, is why should one know about the material energy? That was another point, which is demigod worship. So that was verse number 14, if you remember. 14 said one should know perfectly the personality of Godhead Shri Krishna and his transcendental Nam, Rupa, Guna, Charita. Name, form, qualities, and pastimes. Those are the 4 things when we talk about Lord Krishna. It's anywhere in these 4. As well as the temporary material creations with its temporary demigods, men and animals. One should know both. That is what is being said. So this slide is going to talk about why should we know about material energy? Why that? Why not just Krishna? When that is okay, I am willing to sit in the direct train. Why should I know where the indirect one is going or all the other details about the indirect train? Why am I concerned about it? If I don't have to take that train, why do I need to know those details? That is what we will talk about. So before we go there, are there questions? There's a question here.
Yeah, so maybe you're answering it on the next slide, but in a lot of our rituals, demigods also play a role, right? When you do, for example, Satyanarayana Puja, so Ganesh Bhagwan, sort of you do Avahan to him.
Yes.
So what is their role?
So the question is, what is the role of demigods in the worship of Lord Krishna, or during or in the process or the processes or the methods of worship of Lord Krishna? That is the question.
Okay.
We will answer that question. Yes, Prabhuji.
I have a question. So where does worshipping Lord Venkateshwara fall into?
Venkateshwara is Krishna, is Vishnu. Absolutely. Yes. Absolutely. No difference. Okay. There are little bit deviation. There are sampradayas, various sampradayas, and various sampradayas give emphasis on a various form of Lord Vishnu. Śrī Sampradaya gives immense emphasis on worship of, ultimately it is known, or he is known by the name Sriman Narayana, in various forms, of which Lord Venkateshwara is one of the very primary forms. And various are like the Sampradaya of Lord Chaitanya, which is known as Gaudiya, Brahma Madhava Gaudiya Sampradaya, puts immense emphasis on the form of Vrindavan Krishna, that Krishna who was in Vrindavan. Not even the Krishna who is in Dwaraka or who was in Kurukshetra, but Vrindavan, the sweet pastimes from all the way from childhood to youth. So there is emphasis, but there is no difference. Okay, like, I use this example. You have two boys, but there are some pictures of those boys you put in your house. You don't put all the pictures, because you go through your album and say, oh, this picture is nice. This one is nice. We'll frame this up. We'll enlarge this, or we'll put this on the wallpaper. Then it does not mean that you hate the other ones and you should burn those pictures up or delete them. You never do that. So you can see there is, it's hard to explain in words, but through these examples, when you love somebody, there could still be form which you emphasize, I would say, more in your heart. I wouldn't even say you like more. Then if I tell you, hey, this picture of your child, don't you like it? You cannot say I don't like it. That would be false. Emphasize more, or you are connected more with. I'm falling short of words. Okay. Okay, anything else? So one question is, what do impersonalists worship? So, nice question. The impersonalists do not worship a physical form. However, it's a very quick deviation I will take. They focus on the sound Om, the pranava, which is the transcendental sound Om. So they focus on that. However, the deep fallacy is that Om is also a form. It is a sound form, fine, but it is also a specific sound form. Om is different from Krishna. You cannot tell impersonalists that, okay, you are using the sound form for your meditation, but since everything is one, instead of chanting Om, why don't you chant Krishna or Rama or Hare Krishna? They will say, no, Om, which means there is duality. There is Om and there is something else. And there they get trapped. So I don't know what deeper resolution they give, but this is the understanding I have from Hari Parshad Prabhu, who is my foremost clarifier of all spiritual doubts. The deepest doubts, he has an answer. So the question was, what do they worship? I have told you what they worship. And they say the understanding is that they worship the formless. But Om also, if you think about it, is formful. It's not formless. If it is formless, then they should have no problem in replacing Om with Hare Krishna. Or they should not even chant Om. Okay, I will leave it at that. If we go deeper, then I have to, I won't be able to explain properly. So why should we, so coming back to our sequence, why should we worship or not worship, know about the material energy of the Lord? So very quickly, so that we can draw a distinction, same discussion that we had earlier about why should we know Vidya and Avidya, if you remember that discussion. So that we can draw a distinction between the pious activities and spiritual activities. Pious activities are the essence of the demigod worship. We saw that in Bhagavad Gita, those who perform pious activities go to the Indraloka, Surendra Lokam, correct? Versus spiritual activities. So which is the difference between sattva, the mode of goodness, sattva guna, and guna atita, transcending all the gunas. We are right now in that kind of place in the Bhagavad Gita discussions on Friday that we are doing, 14th chapter. So not remaining in, Lord Krishna tells Arjuna, don't stay in sattva guna either. Sattva guna is definitely better than rajas and tamas, but that is not the highest. There is a fourth level higher, which is guna atita, at least. Not this. And yes, that is Shuddha Sattva, but at least not any of these. That's the term that is used in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 14, 14.19 onwards. He starts talking about guna atita. And so that we can therefore realize the difference between Manava seva and Madhava seva. This is another very important, very touchy, sensitive point. Mode of goodness means, in one way, Manava seva. A typical way of describing mode of goodness in typical literature, especially Western Christian literature, helping an old blind lady to cross the road. That's the sort of the textbook example of goodness. That is Manav seva versus Madhav seva. So we will talk about it in the next few slides. What is the difference? Many people think, why you are doing direct Madhav seva? There is Madhav in everybody's heart. So why can't you just help other people? Like that you can worship the Lord. So we will discuss that in the next slide. Okay, why else should you know about the temporary or the demigod worship? So that you can know how it works. You can know its internal working and make it work for you. Use it. Make a lemonade out of a lemon. Okay? Or an example that I don't want to give in a devotional circle. I didn't know why lemon. After coming to America, I understood lemon means something which is faulty. A car, for example, with defects is called a lemon. So lemon, there are lemon lawyers, don't you know? Lemon lawyers, they're called lemon lawyers. Lemon lawyers who, if you get a car with a defect, they'll help you to fight it with the car company and get your money back. So a lemon is a faulty car. Example that is more sort of obvious is that if you got an egg and it broke, then make an omelette instead of, crying about a broken egg. But we don't eat eggs. So, but I'm just saying. So, yeah, I know. I'll be chastised for using that example. Anyway, so the point is you should be able to know how the material world works so that you can make it work for you. And you will realize its temporariness and duality. That is what is called as knowing how the material world works. You will be able to fully know that it is temporary and it is dual. And here duality, I'm using a very specific example. What goes up will come down. Will come down. So better not, put your brain into, oh, what is going up, 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 up. Oh, So can anybody recognize who is that person's face I have put in that bubble? Who does he look like?
Warren Buffett looks like.
Warren Buffett.
Yeah, that's right. That's Warren Buffett. He is one of the richest people in the world, correct? What is he famous for? How did he make his money? Anybody knows?
Equities.
Shares. Investing into companies or whatever, stocks, right? So when I was thinking about this, what goes up will come down. How do you and I, or not, I don't invest in shares, and we should not, but those who do, what is their intention? We know that it will go up and down. Shares do go up and down. What do they want? No, true, but no, it will come down. Sell at the highest. Predict the peak, isn't it? Buy low, sell high. Predict the trough, buy. Now, when you bought, if it goes further down, then you will lament. Or if you sold and it continues to go up, then you will lament. Isn't it? The moment you sell, you want it to go down. So you feel happy. I sold it at the peak, isn't it? Now, you know what, Warren, somebody asked, how did you figure out the stock market? This is what I'm saying. You can know how it works. You know what his answer was? Anybody?
Don't look back.
No. He said, don't look back. No, that's not the answer. That's not what he said. Anybody? What is the secret to his success in the stock market?
Hold it.
Long-term investment. You just put it and forget.
Hold your investment.
Hold your investment. No, that's not what he said. So he said, here is the thing. He said, I always sold too soon. Which means that he never waited for the peak. Whenever he put it in his mind, I will make 10% profit, or I want to make so much. He would sell. It could go double after that. And he said, I never regretted it. That is the second line. I always sold too soon and I never regretted it. So I just thought, I came up with this. This is called regulated sense gratification. You're following? Huh?
That's highest level of patience.
Yeah, but that leads you to become at least materially, the richest man in the world. If you can find a man who always sold on the peak, he would definitely be much richer than Warren Buffett. But the fallacy is there is no such man. That does not exist. Because then that person, if he wants to do, he does not know how the material world works. He does not know this principle. What goes up will come down. So those who know it can make it work for yourself, which means regulate your sense gratification and devote the rest of your time. And thus that brings us to the next point on this slide. Get the inspiration to go beyond it. Now, this is not, the Warren Buffett example is over. So now no more extending that analogy. We are not extrapolating. Now this is back to Krishna consciousness. That there is something beyond it. this whole duality going up or down, up or down. Is there something that only goes up? What is that? Spiritual progress. Neha Bhikramanasho asti. So even if little spiritual progress you do, it stays. It just keeps, there is only forward progress. You don't come back. How fast or how slow you progress is your shraddha, is your commitment or your effort in bhakti, but you never go back. It's always forward. You keep pushing it forward. Never comes back. And also so it gives you that inspiration, the duality. That's what at the second bullet I have. Without understanding that duality, that things come down, without that emptiness or frustration. Shoot, I tried material things. I thought it will only go up. Darn, it came down. And when that happens enough number of times in our life, then we think, is there such a thing that only goes up? And that leads to spiritual direction. So without some emptiness or some frustration, it is difficult to see that inspiration, to get that inspiration. But that's, Lord Krishna also says in Bhagavad Gita, Bhoga Aishwarya Prasaktanam Tayaha Pritache Satyetasam Vyavasayatmika Buddhi Samadhav Na Vidhiyate. That who are too immersed in opulence, Bhoga Aishwarya, Samadhav Na Vidhiyate. The inspiration for devotional progress or spiritual progress does not occur because they are too busy. For them right now, it's going up. The stock market is going up. They are not willing to sell. They think it will permanently go up. So they are busy, happily enjoying the upward cycle. And finally, to use the material energy in service of Krishna. So whatever material energy we have or we can have access to, we use it for serving Krishna. So it's better to use the material energy for our benefit, temporary. God has given the nice house. We use the nice house for having Krishna Katha. He has given us money and other things, good intelligence. We can use that intelligence to read Bhagavatam instead of binging some novels or some Harry Potters or, those or other, mental things. So whatever facilities we have got, we use it for Krishna. Okay. So that is why it is useful to know how material energy works. So with this, we cover the 14th verse also, that one should know both. Okay. Now, last 30 minutes, we will spend on demigod worship discussion. We'll go a little bit quickly. And again, I have assembled some more topics or some more Shastra Pramana, evidence from the Shastra. So how to properly, now the topic is, okay, how to properly, if at all what demigod worship needs to be done, how to properly do it? What's the proper way to do it? So about 2-3 slides I have, 3 slides I think I have, we will discuss that. So first, some concepts before we get to how to worship demigods properly. First concept is satisfying Lord Krishna satisfies everyone, including the demigods. If Lord Krishna is satisfied, just like, and the example that is given in the scriptures, the most important scripture that we use is Srimad Bhagavatam, that here Narada Muni, Narada Muni is speaking to the Pracetas in the 4th canto, last chapter. And he says, just like by watering the root of a tree, the whole tree is nourished. You don't water the branches separately. Or by feeding food to the stomach, the entire body is nourished. It is the duty of the hands and everything to feed the stomach. The hands may, there is the story, the hands revolted one time. I am doing all the hard work and stomach is getting all the food. So then stomach said, okay, I am going, you do all the hard work, you eat. I am going on strike. So stomach goes on a hunger strike. Very soon the hands became useless. They could do all the work, but if you just feed the stomach, the nourishment is distributed across all the. So that one, and the second one, very beautiful example, very beautiful. So that is a very direct example. We will just quickly read that. Second one is by Lord Shri Krishna himself, directly from his own mouth. He speaks to Sudama. And what did Sudama take to Lord Krishna? Big carts of gifts, number of carts, wagons full of gifts? No.
Some rice.
How much? One cart full, one bag?
Muthi bhar.
Only this much, a palm full of chipped rice. So we will see what Lord Krishna says when he eats one bite of that chipped rice, one bite of the chipped rice, but with lot of cart full of what he took. That much chipped rice, but with a cart full of
Bhakti. Prema.
yes, prema. So that's what he took to Lord Krishna. So let us look at the first one. So Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th canto, last chapter. And which one was that? I think 14th. Yes. Could somebody in the room read the translation loudly and clearly?
Can you please share the screen, Prabhuji?
Yeah, sorry. Please get ready to read. You want to read, one of you? You? Can you read loud and clear?
Sure. As pouring water on the root of a
Louder. Yell.
As a pouring water on the root of a tree energizes the trunk, branches, twigs, and everything else, and as supplying food to the stomach and
Enlivens.
enlivens the senses and limbs of the body, simply worshiping the supreme personality of Godhead through devotional service automatically satisfies the demigods who are parts of that supreme personality.
Thank you. So as you can see here, directly those two examples are given in the verse itself, just by watering the roots or feeding the stomach. Similarly, the whole tree is nourished or the whole body is nourished simply by worshipping Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, through devotional service, automatically satisfies the demigods. So your purpose of worshipping the demigods is to satisfy them. Here is another way to satisfy them. Okay? Following? Let us look at another verse, which I find very, very uplifting, very uplifting. There are 2 chapters in the 10th canto towards the end. That this is 80 and 81. Sudama Brahman visits Lord Krishna, and then Lord Krishna blesses Sudama Brahman. So in this next chapter, 9th verse, Lord Krishna is saying this. On Zoom, somebody could read the translation, please.
Yes. My friend, have you brought this for me? It gives me extreme pleasure. Indeed, these few grains of flat rice will satisfy not only me, but also the entire universe.
Thank you. Can you see what Lord Krishna is saying? These few grains of flat rice will not only satisfy me, but will satisfy the entire universe, because I am satisfied. Once the Lord is satisfied, the whole universe is satisfied. And the BBT purport in the Krishna book Srila Prabhupada is writing the same thing, same reference he is giving. As watering of the tree immediately distributes water to every part of the tree, so an offering made to Lord Krishna or any action done for Krishna is to be considered the highest welfare work for anyone. And this is the response to Manav Seva. Okay, you are serving that Manav. Now you are serving the Manav. You gave some, let's talk about the most simple thing that you can do for Manav Seva. What we do? Give them some food, isn't it? So what will happen? Will he be satisfied forever? After another 6 hours, he will feel hungry, isn't it? Not only him, his neighbor who is also hungry, if you give him food, will he get satisfied, his neighbor, immediately? No. So that is not the same as direct worship of the Lord. If you are just serving that one person. So it is not that we should stop distributing food to hungry people. That is not the point. We will see in another verse, the consciousness is the most important. Kindly mute yourself. So give prasad to them, offer it to the Lord first, and whatever prasad you have made, you know that personally you cannot go to all the living entities and give it to them. Whoever you find needy, but give them prasad first of all, because it is a result of your devotional activity. And the second point is, give it with the consciousness. Those who talk about Manav Seva, serving humans, they do not have that, they're talking just serve the human being. To have an argument with a Vaishnava, they will say, oh, there is God inside. But at the moment when they are serving the human being, they do not have that consciousness that I am serving the God, Paramatma inside his heart. They do not have that. What Srila Prabhupada teaches is that, first of all, give Krishna Prasad. Second, give it with the consciousness that you are actually serving Bhagavan in his heart. Your consciousness should be very clear that you are not serving his body, but you are serving the Paramatma within his body. With that consciousness like this, yes, byproduct is that his hunger will be temporarily subsided for 6 hours. Byproduct is the same, but our consciousness is completely different and we distribute prasad. Okay, so charitable activity must be done, but as a prasad. And with the consciousness that the charity is ultimately my service to Bhagavan. Okay, not just on the temple altar, but even outside the temple. Okay, so that is the discussion on Manav Seva and Madhav Seva. So we saw these 2 points. So we will come back to this one. Second point to understand concept is that demigods are various limbs of Lord Vishnu. We saw this in Bhagavad Gita, 11th chapter, where Lord shows the universal form. And there in the 15th verse, he says, th chapter, 15th verse. So I had seen Shamlila Mataji raised her hand. Could you please read this translation? Was it to read the translation?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, could you read 15?
Yes. Text 15. Arjun said, my dear Lord Krishna, I see assembled in your body all the demigods and various other living entities. I see Brahma sitting on the lotus flower, as well as Lord Shiva and all the sages and divine serpents.
Very nice. Thank you. So demigods are parts. This is just evidence, direct evidence from Bhagavad Gita itself. But we have seen from Srimad Bhagavatam where it is described also which demigod is which limb, who are the legs, who are the hands, all those are described. So demigods are the various parts of the body of the Lord, which means they are part and parcel of the Lord. So you cannot worship the demigod like it's as if like, Prabhuji, you came to my house. I like your hand. It would have been nice if you just sent me your hand to my house. First of all, it is disrespectful. It is obnoxious. I mean, you cannot just say, or if a president is going to a country, say, I like your, minister. Mr. President, you can stay back home. Just send your minister. Doesn't make sense. So you love the whole person. And yes, along with it, all the parts of his body. So we cannot also say, oh, you came here, but I don't like your hand. Or I like your hand. They are all part of the same whole. It is the concept of the part and the whole. So the Lord is the whole. He comes with his parts and parcel. Like it or not, that's how it is. So that brings us to the third and final point of today at a concept level, which is that never disrespect the demigods or their scriptures. We get all the knowledge about the demigods from various scriptures, Devi Purana, Shiva Purana, so many other scriptures are there, or even other outside our Vedic sphere, Bible or Quran or whichever one. Never disrespect. And there are three very important ones to be shown here. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila, again, chapter 22. One time I had mentioned chapter 19 onwards in Madhya Lila is where the instructions begin of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, first to Srila Rupa Goswami, then to Sri Sanatan Goswami. So 22.119, we will see where Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that Anya Deva Ninda Na Karibe. Anya Devata means other devatas. Ninda, what does Ninda mean? Disrespect. Na Karibe. Never do. In Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, we have the 64 limbs of devotional service. One of those limbs, 17th, is Anya Deva Anavagya. Anavagya means disrespect. Anavagya. No disrespect to Anya Deva. That is one of the limbs of devotional service. Do not disrespect. And in Srimad Bhagavatam, I'm just showing the slide and then I'll switch the screen to the other one to show the actual verses. Do not disrespect other Shastras. Srimad Bhagavat Puran is the topmost, but don't disrespect other Shastras. So that is what we will quickly see. So we will go to Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila, chapter 22, which are the instructions to Sri Sanatan Goswami, and 119. Somebody in the room, could you please read, get ready to read the translation? Or I will read the verse and or we can just see here, it says, Anya Deva, Anya Shastra, Ninda Na Karibe. Both it is talking Deva and Shastra. So again, I will read it here in interest of time. The devotee should not. Now here Srila Prabhupada is adding this part that do not, let me see. Yeah, this is Srila Prabhupada is adding for the overall understanding, not to worship the demigods, but should not he should neither be disrespectful to them, nor should he disrespect them. And there is an important distinction here which I want to draw out. What is this word? What is this word I have highlighted? Worship. And what is this word I have highlighted here? Respect. What is the difference between worship and respect? That is the key. if you don't understand that difference or you don't notice that difference, it is saying like, do it, but don't do it. Don't worship the demigod, but don't disrespect them. What is the difference? So that difference is in the word worship versus disrespect.
Worship is mechanical.
No, worship is
Respect.
no.
Worship is almost
Shraddha element.
Okay, let us not have a group discussion here. Let me be the one who, you can ask questions, but yeah. Next, we will go to Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 11. But anyway, we covered about the Shastra also, but we will see from Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 3, verse 26. So it says, Shraddham Bhagavate Shastre. You must have full Shraddha in Bhagavat Shastra. Nindam anyatra cha apihi. So there's an apostrophe in front of the ninda, which makes anindam. Anyatra cha apihi. Don't do ninda, aninda. So do not disrespect anya shastra. Yes, Bhagavat Shastra is topmost. Okay, so Bhagavatam itself is saying that. So is that following? Okay. So that brings us to one of our, not this yet, but this is what I was. Demigods deserve our full respect. So there is a difference between respect and worship. Worship is reserved for Lord Shri Krishna, but respect for all his devotees and his servitors, including the demigods. And I already explained worship and respect, like, respect. When the president comes, a better example is, husband-wife. There is love between husband and wife. Okay. But when wife's parents come, there may not be that much love, but there is a lot of respect for the parents. You can understand? Or opposite way also, or whatever. You can understand. So love and worship means what? When we say worship here, it is not mechanical, it is not anything. It depends on the context in which the word worship is being used. Worship here is through sadhana bhakti. Through the process of bhakti, we are saying, and there is no mechanical. If bhakti is mechanical, then there is a problem. A lot of discussion we will have in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu and everything is to not do bhakti mechanically. One of the ingredients to make bhakti successful is utsaha, enthusiasm. In Nectar of Instruction, that is the first item that Sri Rupa Goswami mentions in the 3rd verse. Utsaha nishchaya dhairyat. Utsaha, enthusiasm. Enthusiasm can never be mechanical, can it? Can you mechanize enthusiasm? It's the exact opposite, isn't it? So enthusiasm is always necessary in bhakti. So it is not mechanical to that point. So that is this point. Am I sharing the slides or the Veda base?
Slides, Prabhuji.
Okay, great. So last slide, how to properly worship the demigods. Last slide for today. So like we said, demigods deserve our full respect. Okay, is that clear? Demigods, not only the demigods, but even their shastras, their books. Okay. They are very faithful, very devoted servants of Lord Krishna, like we read from Bhagavad Gita. Okay. The best, of course, now this is, most of it is a summary. Best, of course, is ananya bhakti. Isn't it? Ananya chintayanto mam ye jana paryupasate tesham abhiyuktanam nityabhiktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham. Or mam ekam sharanam vraja. Ekam. So ananya bhakti is definitely best. And there are many other verses here that I have written. If you are interested in ananya bhakti of Krishna, you can look at all these verses from Bhagavad Gita. They are in chronological or sequential order. Okay. All of these talk about ananya bhakti to Krishna, not one or two, at least 7-8 verses are there. Okay. Even more. But there is a but. Let me add the but. But if you would like to continue family tradition or your prior faith in demigods, that's totally fine. You can do that. How to do that properly is the question. Keep Lord Krishna front and center. And this is what I think I was sharing in the last class also. Even the old traditional temples, if you see. What's happening? Okay. It's okay. Keep Lord Krishna in the center. The traditional temples had Lord Krishna, the Garbhagriha, in the center, and there were so many other Devi Devatas surrounding it. Okay. So like that, you can make your home altar like that. Lord Krishna is the main and everyone else is surrounding. Like when a president arrives, 20 cars are there, right? The whole motorcade. Who is in the center? And then others are in the other ones, right? Same concept. Same concept. And keep the demigods or the vigrahas, the pictures at a lower level also. Next level. Like center, big one, and then surrounding ones. That you can do. Do not offer separate worship by excluding Lord Krishna. No, only demigod, no Krishna. That is, then it becomes avidhi purvakam. Keep Lord Krishna in the center. Okay, keep the person in the center. The limbs come along with it. Okay. And here is the most important part. Now, this is obviously do your bhakti to Lord Krishna, and in Krishna bhakti there is no material motive at all. No bona fide prayer of Lord Krishna or Lord Vishnu will have any motive, material motive. Even in the official prayers, we did a whole dissection of Damodar Ashtakam in Damodar month. Beautiful prayers. There's a conversation between Lord Krishna and Satyavrat Muni, between actually Satyavrat Muni and Narada Muni, but it's been portrayed as a conversation between Satyavrat Muni and Krishna says, take some benefit. And Satyavrat Muni says, no, what use are these material benefits? Then he insists. And then Satyavrat Muni says, okay, if you want to give me anything, give me this Rupa Gopala Balam. Sadame Manasya Avyastaram. Always this Gopal Bal Roop should be in my heart. That is what he asks for. Okay. Dhruva Maharaj, when he goes to the forest upon being rejected by his father and stepmother to ask for a bigger kingdom, when Lord Narayan actually appears, he says, I was going to ask you for pieces of glass. What you have already given me by your presence is diamonds. So never ask anything material from the demigods also. Okay. If you have to ask anything from the demigods, ask for Krishna Bhakti. And a very solid example of this is in Srimad Bhagavatam. The gopis, they are worshipping Mother Durga, Mother Katyayani. And what are they asking for Mother Katyayani? What is their ask? Give me Krishna. That is what they ask. I want Krishna. So that is the perfect way to worship or to connect with mother, with the demigods. Okay. Ask the demigods only for Krishna Bhakti and take guidance. Now this is not part of official procedures of worshipping the demigods. This is unofficial. But that is the correct way. If you have to worship the demigods, if you must, because of your family tradition, of any reasons. And gradually Lord Krishna will increase and firm up your faith in ananya bhakti. Let the process of bhakti, sadhana bhakti, take its course and let it germinate and grow in your heart. Let it take its natural course. What else? Oh yeah. Okay, that's it. I just want to show one last example from Srimad Bhagavatam of Bharata Maharaja. He went to the forest. We covered the whole episode of Bharata Maharaja many weeks ago in our Saturday classes. How he is worshipping the demigods, we can see. So what did we say? If you have to keep it with, like if you're doing Manava sewa, okay, you're worshipping some person, not worshipping, but you're helping, giving food to a person. Your consciousness should be that I am serving the Paramatma inside. With that consciousness, you do it, isn't it? Instead of just thinking, oh, this one person is being helped. He's not being helped. 6 hours later, he will again be hungry. But Paramatma is certainly happy that at least once you gave. So, Bharat Maharaj episode, 5th canto, it is there. Half of 5th canto is this. Next half is the description of the cosmology, the activities of King Bharat. This is verse number 6. Okay, somebody in the room, loud and clear, could you read the it's a long translation. So I want some probably an adult or somebody who can clearly read it nicely, loudly, nice voice. Who would like to do? Okay, go ahead, Mataji.
After performing the preliminaries of various sacrifices, Maharaja Bharata offered the results in the name of religion to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva. In other words, he performed all the yajnas for the satisfaction of Lord Vasudeva. Krishna, Maharaja Bharata thought that since the demigods were different parts of Vasudeva's body, he controls those who are explained in the Vedic mantras. By thinking in this way, Maharaja Bharata was freed from all material contamination such as attachment, lust, and greed. When the priests were about to offer the sacrificial ingredients into the fire, Maharaja Bharata expertly understood how the offering made to different demigods was simply an offering to the different limbs of the Lord. For instance, Indra is the arm of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and Surya, the sun, is his eye. Thus, Maharaja Bharata considered that oblations offered to different demigods were actually offered unto the different limbs of Lord Vasudeva.
Clear? Crystal clear, isn't it? He is offering to the demigods, but his consciousness is what? That these are just limbs of the Lord, and therefore ultimately they are going, his sacrifices or his offerings are going to Lord Indra Vasudeva, who is none other than Lord Krishna or the son of Vasudeva, or Lord Vishnu also has very standard name. Very standard name is Vasudeva. Okay. So we see that example. Oh, I was not sharing this probably. I don't know. In any case, sorry, I was not sharing. This, what we just read, is 5th canto. Let me share it now for the benefit of the recording. 5th canto, 7th chapter, 6th verse. And here is the translation that we just read. Okay. So last line, thus Maharaj Bharat considered that the oblations offered to the different demigods, the oblations were offered to the different demigods, but he knew perfectly well. He considered means his consciousness was that these were actually being offered to the various limbs of Lord Vasudeva. That is what we just read. Okay. Now, last point. Too many last points, but last point. If someone is still unwavering in their desire to worship the demigods, if somebody is like that, then what to do? First, let them do it. Better than unregulated or unrestricted sense gratification. At least it is in the spiritual direction. At least, the train is going in that right direction. All right. It's at least not going back. From Bombay, if you have to go to Delhi, at least you're not going towards Madras or whatever. It's going in the right direction at least. Do not disturb them. Maintain a very good relationship with them. Be their friend. A devotee is a good, well-behaved, very nice, sweet, humble, gentle person. No holier than thou. Oh, I am worshipping Krishna, you are worshipping demigod. Nothing. Very gentle, very sweet. It's just a personal preference. Just like Lord Krishna says in 7.21. Lord Krishna says, even I don't disturb them. He is the supreme controller. He's sitting in everyone's heart. He has the key to everybody's actions, thoughts, everything he can control if he wants. He says, I don't. I let them do that. In fact, I encourage them. I make their faith stronger. 7.21, Lord Krishna says. So let them do. Do not disturb. Couple of things you can do. Last 3 points are some suggestions. Invite them to add Lord Krishna, not as primary. The best is if he is primary. Okay, even more best is ananya. But next is, okay, primary with others surrounding. Okay, at least add him somewhere on the side at least. Let them start. You need a starting point. But at least he's present. Another option is invite them to read Bhagavad Gita. When they read sequentially, they will understand, hopefully. Lord can inspire from the heart. Lord never forces, he inspires. If still not interested, you can pray for their well-being and more spiritual progress. Pray that whenever they get off that train, they take the further next train. They don't take the return train. They take the forward train. Like that, you can pray for them. So these are some of things you can do. Okay. So I think, yeah, that's the end of the discussion on these 3 verses of Īśopaniṣad and the whole discussion on demigod worship. And my sincere thanks once again to Hari Parshad Prabhu. Through his multiple lectures, I have taken some points here and there and stitched them together. Of course, many of these points are directly mentioned in Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, but some ideas I got from him. Thanks to him. Are there any comments, questions? Oh. Long one. Oh, okay. For the benefit of everyone, because I wasn't sharing. Thank you. I think that was the purpose of this. Please share the screen. Oh, sorry, I didn't see, but I think you got it. Okay, here's a question. Can you please explain the worship of Lord Shiva by Lord Ram before killing Ravana? So yeah, so the question is, so that's a nice question. Worship of Lord Shiva by Lord Ram. So he went to Rameshwaram. You are all familiar with Rameshwaram temple. Who is the presiding deity of Rameshwaram temple?
Shiva.
Lord Shiva. So Lord Ram, it is said, he established that deity of Lord Shiva and he worshipped. And from Rameshwaram, he went to Lanka, isn't it? That's the bridge that was constructed. So the proper understanding that our acharyas give, and this is directly from one of the conversations of Srila Prabhupada, how he explained, is like, let us say President Biden wants to visit Oregon. Okay? Don't you think he will take permission from the governor of Oregon? He doesn't need to, but as a matter of, yeah, that's a good answer. No, he doesn't need to. As a matter of courtesy, would he? Yes or no? Yes. And that is what Lord Ram was doing. He was worshipping Lord Shiva because he is the presiding deity of that location. There is a very, very, just next to it, adjacent, there is another example, counter example. When he requested the Devata of the Sagar, of the ocean, to allow the stones to float. Remember? The Devata was busy or something, didn't respond.
Varun Dev.
Varun Dev, probably, I forget the name.
Yeah.
Varun Dev is the deity of water, but I don't know if he was the one. Anyway. Okay. Yeah, so didn't respond. He asked 3 times. Lord Ram asked 3 times. Then he took on his weapon. So the expected answer is, even though a question is being asked, there is one right answer. Typically, if I ask you a question, can I come to your house? I can expect 1 of 2 answers. If I'm asking a question, then I need to have a choice. I'm giving a choice to the other person to answer yes or no. If he didn't respond, Lord Ram should have said, okay, no problem, I will do something else. No. He like, you don't respond, then I'll make you respond. And I'll make you respond in a way I want. He loaded up his weapon. And then that deity came back to his senses and said, oh, sorry, what can I do for you? So you can see the same sense there, that you ask as a matter of courtesy, as a matter of etiquette, but the Supreme Lord's position is not diminished. He's not under the control of the deity, of the demigods. Okay? So therefore, Lord is showing by his own example, never disrespect the demigods. We spent like 15 minutes on that topic. And he's showing that by his example. He's not like, I am the president, I'll just walk in. I don't care who you are, come on. No. Okay. So that is the answer.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay. Anything else? Yes, Prabhu.
Demigod scriptures, as you mentioned, we shouldn't disrespect the scriptures of the demigods. If you read most of the demigod worshipping scriptures or the stotras, first completely go through that, everything is discussed about how great they are.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, when you do that, the last few paragraphs, you will get this one.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Lakshmi Purana. First time you read, you get lots of money. Second time you read, you get name and all this. So you could read, but then it's Satyanarayana Puja also the similar. So what do you need to do? One way you read it or don't read it?
Yeah, so the question is that Prabhuji is asking is these official procedures of the worship of demigods is inherently asking for material benefits. And that is why, and that is the path that you are taking, then you are asking for material benefits. And the Vaishnava understanding or the Vaishnava teaching is to not do that. If you are doing that, then you are in the category of, okay, Lord Krishna is on the side, but my main objective is demigod worship. So if, like we mentioned, if demigod worship need or respect to the demigod need, if you want to ask for something from the demigod, it has to be unofficial. Unofficially ask for Lord Krishna or his bhakti. But the official process is to ask for material, because that's what they can give. They are entitled to give that only. And the purpose to mention that in the Vedic system is to at least bring the people from unrestricted sense gratification to restricted sense gratification. So at least that purpose would be served by that kind of worship. But here we are talking about the highest level of worship to Lord Krishna, and there don't engage in such prayers. Or you can, but at least do it with then we go to the last slide, what was shared, right? That do that, but with the understanding that, okay, slowly at least you are making progress in the right direction. But it is, don't equate it to bhakti, or don't equate it to ahaituki bhakti. Ahaituki means no material motive. It is haituki. Haituki bhakti to devatas, not ahaituki bhakti to either devatas or Krishna. Yes, Prabhuji. So before that, there's a hand on the Zoom. I just saw. Parul Mataji, do you have a question? Oh, you just lowered your hand?
Yeah, Prabhuji, I wanted to be respectful for the time. Like maybe I'll ask you in the temple tomorrow. I know everybody would be hungry in like the southern time, so.
Sure. Okay, no problem.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
We'll go on for a few minutes here. There's one question in the room.
So more a personal thing, Prabhuji. So like you said, we should respect all the demigods. Right? I think I can do that very well for the Vedic tradition. But when I engage in discussions with non-Vedic religions, right, somehow I perceive them to be inferior to our gods, and I'm struggling with that because I come from Goa, where as a child we actually offered candles to Jesus and stuff like that. It was a part of the culture, but that changed over time, and my attitude has also changed. So how do you personally, because you encounter much more people than me, so how do you...
I have great respect for Christ. Great respect for Christ. So the question is that, Prabhuji is sharing is, there's this feeling that our Vedic demigods, that's fine, but outside the Vedic system, how do I generate that respect in my heart for them? That is our shortcoming if we cannot. Okay. So first of all, we must respect them. They're not demoniac. So I'm not saying generate respect for Hiranyakashipu or Ravana or Hitler or whoever else, Bin Laden. Not that. I mean, what Jesus Christ has done, and if you read the Quran, even Muhammad, and Muhammad never claimed he is God. He is always the prophet. So, very good, conduct of his own life. So there is no problem in respecting them just for what they have done. Forget their sort of status just based on their activity, exceptional activities. And it is our shortcoming. So therefore, we must make an effort. If you have that, and if it's really bothering you, if it's a matter of concern, and if it is stopping your own Krishna Bhakti in any way, go and read about it. I have read Bible, I have read Quran. I have made that effort because I talk to a lot of people and these questions come up. I said, hey, why not? Let me get an understanding. And, I have all respect for at least both of them. And even I have read the Old Testament, the Torah, which is sort of the three Abrahamic religions, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. I have read their main books. I have a lot of respect for them. Yeah. So make an effort and you will understand. It is our shortcoming, nothing to do with them. And people are always going to twist and turn things and going to do bad things in the name of God. That happens even in the Vedic system. What to speak of any others? So that is just a phenomenon of Kali Yuga. Everything good can be twisted and turned by the evil people to their advantage. So that is not how we should judge the root scriptures. Okay. Anything else? So yeah, we are 20 minutes over the time, so we will end here. Thank you so much for joining us. And anything? Where's my Orkuch? So we will see you tomorrow. We are starting a new batch of Bhagavad Gita. So if you haven't, if you have a desire to join, you are still welcome to join. It's just let us know your contact information. There's a little Google form you can fill up or share it with your friends. Other than that, we'll see you again soon sometime in the temple or in the Bhagavad Gita class or next Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or one of the many other times that we will have gatherings. Thank you so much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare